The worldview of mortal cultivation. After arriving in the mortal world, Li Su was about to hug Han Tianzun's thigh when he realized he still had golden fingers. Standing in the opposing camp of Han Laomo, can one obtain a reverse opportunity? Alright, I'll choose the undercover wolf gang. Han Li obtained the medical skills of Dr. Mo, while Li Su obtained the 7-colored poison classic. Han Li obtained the Changchun Gong from Zhongzheng Pingdi, while Li Su obtained the magical secret technique burning Blood Tianyang Gong. Han Li obtained the palm heavenly bottle, and Li Su obtained the demon refining pot. In such a world where everything was against Han Tianzun, Li Su wandered in search of her own journey to cultivate immortality. P.S. This book is also known as Starting from the Spirit Beast Mountain in Ordinary People and The Pursuit of Immortal Cultivation by the Spirit Beast Mountain Disciples, keywords of the novel. Starting from an undercover agent with no pop-ups, starting from an undercover agent for mortals. Download the complete text, and reading the latest chapters on starting from an undercover agent for mortals. Chapter 1. Beginner Mortals. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Beginner Mortals. Chapter 1. First entering the mortal world, the dust rolls like a dragon, and the horse's hooves flutter lightly. A carriage drove out of Qingniu town, and the passers-by looked enviously at the carriage with the 7 Profound Men logo, carrying a carriage of quasi-7 Profound Men disciples towards Caixia Mountain. A disheveled and unkempt little beggar had clear eyes, and his gaze was firm as he looked at the carriage driving towards the distance. The mortal cultivation legend, Han Li, I'm here. Li Su held on to the smooth dog-beating stick and walked with heavy steps, ready to rub against the luck of Han Laomo, the son of the plain. He silently recited in his heart, Han Daozu, senior brother Han, if you reincarnate, cross me once. Along the way, Li Su overcame obstacles and finally arrived at Caixia Mountain. Which batch of disciples have you received? The mountain guarding disciple asked casually. This year is the 13th batch. Why did you recruit so many? Alas, it's not just Jia Tianlong from the Wild Wolf Gang, many low-level disciples in the sect have died. Damn the Wolf Gang. Li Su carefully emerged from the grass, learning the etiquette of this world. A few adults, I want to join the 7 profound schools. Hey, is there a child here? Little beggar, where do you come from? A young swordsman asked arrogantly. My family lives in Chuyun City and was robbed while traveling. Only I jumped into the river and survived. I heard about your sect in Qingniu town, so I wanted to join your sect. Oh, this little guy has a somewhat extraordinary way of speaking. Yeah, kid, what's your name? How many years have you read? The boy's name is Li Su and he has studied for 3 years. Li Su thought to herself, there was no problem with her background, except for the part where she jumped into the river to escape. Because he had already been stabbed in his original body before jumping into the river. Somehow, after Li Su crossed the river, this corpse came back to life by the riverbank. Then, Li Su begged all the way and arrived at a Qingniu town. After hearing about the 7 Xian men and Wang Juechu, she finally confirmed that she had come to the mortal cultivation world. Hi kid, our 7 profound gates accept people, but they never accept people of unknown origin. You can't enter the door without a friend as a guarantor. Ah. Li Su felt a bit flustered. Can't enter the door. Isn't that why we can't hold on to Han Tianzun's thigh? In the original work, Han Li was recommended by his 3rd uncle to start the test. Really? Can't we? Several young people gathered around and whispered about it. Senior brother, I think this kid is smart and clever, and he also carries deep grudges of blood and sea. At first glance, he looks like a potential future hero. Junior brother, have you read too many novels and storybooks? Senior brother Ko, I think what senior brother Wang said is reasonable. This kid has even had a grudge against the Wild Wolf Gang after reading books. Have a grudge against the Wild Wolf Gang? Yeah, who doesn't know in the martial arts world of Jingzhou? The biggest backstage of the bandits' green forest is our rival, the Wild Wolf Gang. Why don't we ask Uncle Wang? You can give it a try. After several people agreed, let Li Su wait first. In no time, a middle-aged man in clothing descended from the mountain path with a graceful demeanor. Is this lightness skill? Upon hearing Li Su's ignorant murmur, a disciple of the Seven Profound sect sneered arrogantly. This is our deputy hall master, also known as the King Hall Master of the Eight-Armed Shura. As soon as the words were spoken, Master Wang arrived. This person stood with his hands on his back, his robe moving without wind. A skilled figure, with one hand caressing his beard, asked, "Where is the person?" "Report back to Uncle Wang, it's this person." Li Su thought that Lord Wang would ask again, but she didn't expect this person to grab his collar with one hand and return to Caixia Mountain using the same lightness technique. Li Su, who was carrying a collar, took a sip of the mountain breeze, but the blood in her heart became increasingly hot. Finally one stepped closer to Han Tianzun. "Master." Wang Wanjiang put Li Su down. Originally, the two of them arrived at a delicate courtyard, where a man in yellow stood with sharp eyes like a falcon, a high nose bridge, and thin lips, scrutinizing Li Su. Li Su. Yes. Li Su felt anxious in her heart. This person has never asked his name before, why did he mention his name all at once? On the 9th day of August, Shishanzhai robbed and killed a merchant surnamed Li. It seems that a family of 8 still kept you, right? Big and big. Li Su's heart skipped a beat. Hee. Don't worry, our Flying Bird Hall specializes in intelligence collection. The person chuckled lightly and said, "It seems that you have a deep blood feud with the Wild Wolf Gang." The Wild Wolf Gang. Li Su pretended to be puzzled. Not bad, this Stone Mountain Fortress is a subordinate sect of the Wild Wolf Gang. Most of the financial resources plundered every year have to be handed over to the Wild Wolf Gang, so your parents and family were killed by this Wild Wolf Gang. Listening to the account of Lord Huang, Li Su calmly pondered in her heart. Why did he say these things to me? But he pretended to be angry on his face. Please accept me as an beginner. Do you want revenge? Master Huang asked with a smile on his face. Think. Li Su said decisively. If Li Su hadn't read the novel, Ordinary People, she probably would have to procrastinate a bit. However, since I have read the novel, I naturally know that the 7 Profound Gates and the Wild Wolf Gang are not compatible. 10 years later, the Wild Wolf Gang even hired the venerable Jin Guang to attack the 7 Profound Gates. Okay, then I'll take you as my disciple. Master, I will be worshipped by my disciple. Lord Huang sat steadily and received Li Su's apprenticeship ceremony. Well, Suer, since you have joined my team, I have an important task to assign to you. Li Su's eyelids twitched at the words. Because every time the company manager talks to him like this, what comes next is definitely not a good thing. However, in this world where killing can be done at will, Li Su could only bow and ask with a bitter smile, but according to the master's orders. I want you to join the Wild Wolf Gang. What? Li Su stood still on the spot. Spy. In ancient times, they still played infernal affairs. Li Su didn't expect to be kicked by Huang Zhicheng into the Wild Wolf Gang before he could sit hot in the 7th gate. Li Su was secretly arranged to go down the mountain, and then a stranger picked him up. Then, 3 days later, he joined the Wild Wolf Gang. Although the Wild Wolf Gang is the backstage of Jingzhou Green Forest, it also needs to recruit some core disciples. Just like the recruitment method of the 7 mysteries, the recruitment of new disciples in the Wild Wolf Gang also requires recommendations from acquaintances. It seems that Huang Zhicheng has been planning for a long time. Li Su sighed helplessly. I am a lonely soul guest, fate cannot be controlled by me. The next day. Li Su is wearing coarse cloth clothes. This is the standard attire of the beginner disciples of the Wild Wolf Gang. On a square paved with bluestones, a burly man scanned the disciples standing at attention and shouted, "You joined the Wild Wolf Gang today. You are born to be members of our Wild Wolf Gang, and you die to be ghosts of our Wild Wolf Gang. Those who betray their brothers will have their arrows pierced through their hearts. Those who betray the sect will be dismembered in 5 horses. Those who collude with external enemies will be cut with thousands of knives and thousands of cuts." After reciting the oath of joining the gang sentence by sentence, everyone's atmosphere also rose. Looking at his companions with a flushed face and ears, there was also a hint of agreement in his eyes. But Li Su's mind was a bit flustered. Because just now, his cheat hit. Ding, you have chosen Han Li's opposing faction. The Wild Wolf Gang, to activate the system's antagonist-protagonist work module. Detected that Han Li has obtained the opportunity to read Dr. Mo's medical book. As someone who opposes Han Li, you receive the villain's reward of the 7-colored poison classic. It's been a long time since I started writing. Old readers probably have left. If you see any friends, please add a bookshelf for voting. If you like this book, please help to read it. Thank you all. Lost Red Shoes, September 29, 2022, end of this chapter. Chapter 2. Cultivation of Immortal Demon Skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Cultivation of Immortal Demon Skills. Chapter 2 Cultivation of Immortal Demon Skills. The headquarters of the Wild Wolf Gang is not far from Caixia Mountain in the 7 Profound Gates. The place where Li Su and this group of newcomers live is called Baiguxia. The White Bone Gorge is overgrown with weeds, surrounded by miasma. It is a good place that is easy to defend but difficult to attack. No wonder they have been besieged multiple times by the imperial court and the 7 Xian men, but have not been eliminated. I have entered the level of internal qi. A pink and tender child exclaimed happily. Okay, would you be willing to join me? Greet Master. On the second day, at the martial arts training ground. With strong muscles and bones, the even more rare blood battle octagonal knife has entered Xiaocheng. Would you be willing to be my disciple? On the third day, White Bone Gorge. Like Willow Catkins, he is a good seedling for practicing lightness skills. On the fourth day. Copperhead and Iron Arm, learn horizontal refining. Until 15 days later, when the new members of the Wild Wolf Gang entered the beginner stage, there were no more high-level members to pick people from within the gang. It was also on this day that Li Su's internal energy entered the realm. Sigh. Teacher, she let out a sigh. I took out a waist tag from my backpack. Li Su, go to the racecourse. Yes. Li Su respectfully took the token. Then, led by the old disciples from the inner gate, they arrived at the horse farm within the Wild Wolf Gang. At first, Li Su thought she was coming to work as a laborer. Being sent to raise horses, the profession of a great sage, and raising livestock, how much profit can one make? But Li Su soon realized that she was wrong. Originally, Bai Mao Wen is also an important profession. In ancient times, horses were important tools for transportation, and a good horse is worth the same as a modern luxury car. The horse farm manages all the horses of the Wild Wolf Gang. From raising the black dragon foal of the gang leader Jia Tianlong, to the inferior crossbar used by ordinary disciples. The cheapest horse costs around 10 taels of silver. These are the best departments in the gang. The senior brother of the horse farm said to Li Su. Who dares not show filial piety to the disciples who come to our horse farm to borrow horses? Listening to his senior brother's proud words, Li Su opened her mouth and fell into a daze. Sure enough, even if one falls into the bandit's den, modern workplace experience will not be outdated. Long live C. Li Su accepted the life of raising horses. Every day, feed horses, wash horses, drink horses. Li Suin is a new disciple who has many inferior horses under his name. He is crazily learning knowledge. When drinking horses, use warm salt water, and dry the horse's sweat as soon as possible after walking. Leader Jia Tianlong's mount, the black dragon horse, not only needs to be fed eggs, but also fresh animal meat every once in a while. Li Su suspects that this horse has the bloodline of a demon beast. While studying his job of feeding horses, Li Su also stole cultural knowledge, especially some ancient texts and medical skills. Prepare for future cultivation. On the 10th day of the 12th lunar month, when Li Sudu was about to forget his identity, a secret code appeared near the dormitory of the horse farm. Pressing down the nervousness in her heart, Li Su went to the meeting in the evening. A wild ridge 10 miles outside the Wild Horse Hill. You're here. The first snow of winter is falling profusely. In the withered and yellow forest, snow accumulates and ice is firm. Visitors come out from behind a large locust tree. Wearing a bamboo hat and a black scarf, one can only see a pair of triangular eyes. Who are you? Hi, you're quite vigilant. Master Huang asked me to take over the handover with you. Oh, I see. Li Su made a relieved expression. How to address it? Call me an old ghost, the person lowered their bamboo hat and said, to make a long story short. Yes. Do you know why the door took you into the stable? I'm not sure. Hee, kid, remember every horse of the Wild Wolf gang, especially the horse usage records of every high level. Li Su widened her eyes. Indeed, ancient people did not mean there were no wise people. Unexpectedly, there are also people in the 7 profound gates who know that by using horses, they can investigate the dynamics of the high level members of the Wild Wolf gang. Yes. Li Su immediately agreed. Alright, this is your allowance for this month. Remember not to spend money recklessly. The old ghost threw a bag over. Yes, I understand. Perhaps afraid of Li Su's wrongdoing, the old ghost even reminded him, we people will die if we are not careful, so remember to be cautious to survive, young man. Yes, sir. Alright, besides silver, you can exchange some materials to assist you in practicing the Wild Wolf gang's Wild Wolf mind technique. Thank you, Lord Ghost. Well, I'm leaving now. Next time we meet, I hope you have a complete record. Yes. When Li Su looked up again, the old ghost had disappeared. Who? Li Su exhaled a breath. In the dripping frozen forest, it turns into a long white vapor. My martial arts are much stronger than mine. However, I still have a trump card. Li Su weighed the bag in her hand, which contained about 10 taels of silver. I didn't expect to receive the allowance from the 7 profound men before receiving the silver from the Wild Wolf gang. I originally wanted to prepare for a while longer, but now it seems that I can prepare in advance. Li Su turned around. 2 shallow footprints were submerged in the snowstorm. 1 year later. Internal power cultivation is really slow. Li Su sat cross-legged on the cattail, thinking anxiously in her heart. Has Han Li really started learning Changchun Gong? I have already started my 7-colored poison classic, and now I will increase my combat power by raising Gu. As a poisonous scripture that can be compared to the medical book of the Mo doctor, the 7-colored poison classic is naturally a decent and ordinary method. Among them, there is a wealth of knowledge in drug dispensing, toxin identification, and drug testing. And what Li Su values the most is a Gu Shu skill. Dr. Mo has a poison that can poison cultivators, while Li Su also has a Gu technique that kills immortals. This 7-colored poison classic clearly records that this Gu technique killed a 6th-level cultivator who practiced Qi. Golden Silkworm Gu. Li Su raised her finger. 1 devouring generates 1 heavy level, and 7 times the entrance locks the immortal gate. A pair of golden claws pierced Li Su's fingertips, and the rice-sized golden silkworm made Li Su's face gradually turn pale. After the golden silkworm was calmed down, Li Su breathed a sigh of relief and secretly pondered, the 7-colored poison classic requires the beginner to refine 64 golden silkworm insect eggs, and every time the golden silkworm devours life, half of the golden silkworm will die. I now have 30.22 striped golden silkworm goo in my body, and the strongest horse manager at the horse farm no longer poses a threat to me. The next time golden silkworm swallows life should be 2 years later, when I will grow into a master like Jia Tianlong. According to the 7-colored poison classic, the strongest 7-striped golden silkworm goo can fight and practice qi in the 7th layer. The vitality of each devouring is doubled, and a normal person cannot withstand 7 times of devouring, right? Don't be fooled by Li Su's steady year, but his inner unease has never subsided. After all, I am working as an undercover agent in a hostile sect. If exposed, I will definitely die a miserable death. Now, except for a few guild leaders and master-level experts, there are very few members of the Wild Wolf gang who can stop me. Li Su just felt a little secure. But that's not enough. When can I cultivate immortality? Just as Li Su was worried about gains and losses, the invisible system appeared again. Ding, it has been detected that the protagonist Han Li has obtained Changchun skill, and you have received the villain reward, Burning Blood Tianyang skill. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Breaking out of the door. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Breaking out of the door. Chapter 3. Breaking out of the door. 7 Xianmen, Shenshou Valley. Han Li, an ordinary-looking black boy, finally has to pass on his martial arts today. Just arrived at the 7 Xianmen from his hometown, Han Li was illiterate and did not understand medical skills, so he naturally could not practice martial arts. It was not until he spent a year in Shenshou Valley and learned some basic medical skills and writing that he became enthusiastic about learning martial arts. During this period, Mo Lao only taught him the method of basic luck. Han Li sat cross-legged for a long time. Unfortunately, there was no movement at all. Dr. Mo, standing outside the room, looked at Han Lian Gong inside and a hint of greed flashed in his eyes. Wild Horse Hill. Burning Blood Tianyang skill. Li Su was somewhat excited as he realized this skill. How could it be another magical technique? In the book Immortal Cultivation, both immortal and demonic sects practice spiritual energy, and only a few primitive true demons absorb demonic energy. Some surviving descendants of ancient demons also practice demonic energy. How to distinguish between immortals and demons in a martial art? Quick success, backfire. Li Su has a bitter taste at the corner of her mouth. This, Burning Blood Tianyang skill, is a fire-based skill that requires possessing a fire spirit root to cultivate. The best auxiliary object in this cultivation is actually spiritual energy, blood, and flesh. Practicing this skill requires overcoming the dangerous, burning blood calamity. Han Li's Changchun Gong is not the original, and Li Su's martial arts are not complete either. My art style is a bit off. Is it running all the way on the demon road? No, the mortal cultivation legend is about cultivating immortals in the underworld, and those sects in the original work are also black and white. Is it right or wrong for Huang Fenggu to force his disciples to sell the building foundation pill at a low price? The first major sect, the moon-covering sect, is even more famous for picking and repairing. The Spirit Beast Mountain is more directly the outer gate of the demon road. If I abide by my true heart, act according to my nature, and cultivate demons is also the right path. After thinking it through, Li Su closed her eyes and applied her skills. A tingling and itchy sensation emanated from the bone marrow, and Li Su sensed the colorful spots of light. As the saying goes, the great road is difficult to understand, and now it is clear. When will we spend this body again? Nailing has entered the body, and today I am entering the Tao. Shenshou Valley. Han Li sat cross-legged for half a day. They all sat drowsy and had not felt any spiritual energy. In the evening, Dr. Imo checked his cultivation progress, and Han Li awkwardly said that he had achieved nothing. In disappointment, Dr. Imo did not reprimand Han Li. Fortunately, Han Li has a resilient personality, and with his friend Zhang Tai at the bottom, Han Li only secretly reminds himself to work harder. Spring passes and autumn comes, time flies like a shuttle. Still in the wilderness, the old ghost walked restlessly in the forest. Li Su's golden silkworm goo has evolved to 4 stripes, and the blood-burning Tianyang skill has been cultivated to the 2nd level of qi cultivation. The old ghost is no match for Li Su. After observing around, Li Su slowly entered the forest. Seeing the sudden appearance of Li Su, wearing a long robe and a hat covering his face, the old ghost felt a chill in his heart. His progress is so fast, he must not be inferior to me. Li Su looked at the old ghost calmly. The old ghost coughed and stared at Li Su, saying, "The master is a bit dissatisfied with your records." Last month, Jia Tianlong appeared in Tianyang City, but you were not recorded in it. Li Su sneered, "What a person is Jia Tianlong? How could he be easily detected? I just wrote in the record that the dragon horse has not left, just 4 words. The old ghost frowned in dissatisfaction and threatened, "Kid, the Wild Wolf Gang has been staying for a long time, treating yourself like a member of the Wild Wolf Gang. Don't forget the revenge of your family's destruction." Li Su's 5 senses have greatly improved, and the old ghost's heartbeat can be clearly heard. Just now, the old ghost's heartbeat became faster, indicating that he was very nervous. "I won't forget." Li Su lowered her eyes and answered. "But after 3 years, when will I return to the sect?" Returning to the sect. The old ghost felt relieved, as long as the person did not betray. After completing the task and defeating the Wild Wolf Gang, you can return to the 7 profound gates. Li Su shook her head and asked, "What task is this time?" "The task is in the bag, and this month's allowance is also in." The old ghost threw a deer-skin bag over and cursed with some dissatisfaction. "I don't know why you bought these highly toxic drugs." Li Su opened the deer-skin bag and took a look. The task on it was to investigate the whereabouts of a helmsman. "All right, I'll leave first." The withered yellow leaves rolled up, and Li Su disappeared without a trace. Wild Horse Hill. "Master Jia is dead. How did you die?" "Killed by 2 masters of the 7 profound sect who robbed the way. Alas, he is the leader's cousin, and there will be another war this time." Several horse-raising disciples were discussing gossip in a low voice. The wild wolf helped the horse steward carry his back and walked outside the door, coughing and shouting, "Li Su, come out." Li Su, who was lifting water, looked up and saw the purple-clothed horse steward holding hands behind his back. "Ma Guanshi." Li Su wiped her sweat and went out. The steward Ma remained silent and walked ahead alone. Li Su remained silent and followed closely behind, but her eyes gradually became cold. "I walked for a quarter of an hour." The steward led him to the edge of a forest. "Li Su, is this your real name?" As soon as she spoke, Li Su felt uneasy and asked calmly, "What did the steward say?" "He, how did the 7 Xian men bribe you?" Steward Ma stared at Li Su with a pair of yellow eyes. Is there any place where Li Su offended the steward? Seeing that Li Su refused to admit his death, the steward Ma said with a sinister expression, "I was planning to spare your life. It seems that you are not worthy of praise. Why suffer so much flesh and skin?" Shoo! A punch is like a galloping horse raising its hooves. Smash a waist-thick tree beside Li Su's body. Good fist technique. Li Su dodged the wooden thorn on his side, and his eyes also darkened. Unfortunately, the speed is too slow. You. The steward Ma's face changed dramatically. Unexpectedly, a little groom could evade his deadly moves. He has been practicing this move, wild horse treading on the sky, for 30 years, and even the guild leader praised it as invincible. Li Su, regardless of how shocked the steward Ma was, raised his hand and imprinted it on his chest. The golden light flashed away in a flash. The steward of the horse knelt to the ground. What is it? Feeling the pain of heartbreak, Steward Ma asked with a panicked expression, what the hell is this? There are a total of 8 4-striped golden silkworm goo, which are used to kill your overpowered talent. Li Su sighed with a look on her face. By the way, Steward Ma, before you die, can you tell me how it was exposed? Hee, you're dreaming. Li Su's fingers moved, and the golden silkworm goo began to riot. I say. Please spare my life, I won't speak out. Let's talk about the exposed matter first. Yes. No, you haven't been exposed, it's because of the black dragon horse. The leader's horse. Li Su's puzzled questioning. That's right, 2 months ago, as long as you approached the black dragon horse, it would chirp restlessly. How did you guess the anomaly of a horse? The black dragon horse is a spiritual beast that the sect leader is seeking to purchase, and I have heard that it has an incomprehensible spirituality. Director Ma said bitterly, it is precisely because of this suspicion, coupled with the fact that the helmsman was robbed this time, that I suspect there is an issue with your origin. Li Su couldn't help feeling speechless. In ancient times, people would rather kill than let go. 2 months ago, during the 4th golden silkworm swallowing, his 16 3-striped golden silkworms transformed into 8 4-striped golden silkworm goo. The 4-striped golden silkworm goo already has the characteristics of a spiritual insect in the world of cultivating immortals, and the black dragon horse is a mixed race of demons and beasts, and its perception is higher than that of ordinary people. It's not surprising if there's anything unusual. And the horse steward, who heard rumors, believed that the black dragon horse could distinguish between demons and evil, and be loyal and treacherous, and accidentally approached Li Su. I didn't try to uncover anything, but ended up getting caught up in myself. Sigh. Li Su let out a sigh. Do you know where this horse comes from? After a scream, Steward Ma dared not conceal it. I heard that this was bestowed by the guild leader from a fairy. Immortal. Li Su was suspicious in her heart. Isn't it from the hands of the golden light? Li Su looked at the tormented and immature horse steward, waved his hand, and a golden light burst out of his body. Looking at the increasingly ferocious golden silkworm goo with her fingertips, Li Suzy thought to herself, this goo technique should be a special insect raising technique for cultivators. I don't know how it has been changed to a mortal cultivation method. Feeling the owner's intentions, the golden silkworm goo disappeared into its fingertips. Li Suyun ignited his blood and supplied 8 golden silkworms. In no time, he felt a sense of internal weakness and sighed, in the wild wolf gang, I am more and more constrained. It is difficult to take medicine to make up for the deficiency. Eating meat to make up for the body secretly. This is not my treasure trove, it has become my cage. Li Su took out a small porcelain bottle and sprinkled poisonous water on the horse steward. Tsk. Half a bottle of poisonous water melted the corpse. Li Su looked up at the moon and whispered softly. The dragon has been trapped in the abyss for a long time, soaring in mid-air in a day. Flying back and forth can change, and from now on, misfortune will not turn into evil. The next day. Seeking votes, seeking follow-up reading. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Revenge and Searching for Immortals. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 4 Revenge and Searching for Immortals. Chapter 4 Revenge and Searching for Immortals. Jingzhou, Shishanzhai. The red stream winds through the dilapidated gate of the village, echoing in the valley with screams of pain. The fallen corpse screamed mournfully. Li Su waved her waist knife expressionlessly, and the severed limbs of the mountain bandit flew everywhere. Until the end, Li Su walked to a mountain wall and fiercely stabbed at it with a knife. A stream of blood gushed out, splashing wet Li Su's fair and tender face. Cough cough. The second leader of the bandits spat blood foam. He doesn't understand this hiding place, how could it be easily discovered? Li Su lifted his sword and cut off his 6 young chieftain. Since practicing the cultivation technique, Li Su's 5 senses have greatly improved. The bandit leader thought he was a secret hiding place, but under the scrutiny of his ears and nose, there was no escape. Ha, we've finally killed them all. Li Su rubbed her sore wrist and threw down her knife, looking up at the drizzling rain. May the rain wash away all grievances. The bandits of Shishansai killed 8 members of the Li family, and Li Su slaughtered Shishansai several years later. The cause and effect are clarified. Li Su acquired this body and also avenged the cause and effect. Next, it's time to seek immortality with peace of mind. How should I go? Originally, Li Su planned to stay in the Wild Wolf Gang, and even Han Tianzun went to the 8th level of Qi cultivation because Li Su's golden finger is bound to Han Tianzun. After Han Tianzun gets the opportunity, Li Su will also get the reverse opportunity. As long as Li Su is patient enough and always ensures his own safety, the future will naturally be limitless. Do you want to go back to the 7 profound gates? Li Su pondered for a moment, then shook her head and decided not to go. Let's first step into the cultivation world. Li Su turned her head to look in the direction of Caixia Mountain, then looked up at the sky and smiled. Don't laugh at the shallowness of the creek, as there may be a crouching dragon in the shallow pond. Han Fengchu, Wulong, let's take a step first. Azu. Han Li sneezed. Zhang Tai handed Han Li a towel with concern and asked, what's wrong with junior brother? No, it's okay. Just mentioned it. Oh, when it comes to the legend of the falling phoenix on Caixia Mountain. It's just a legend, brother Tai. What did Master Imo teach you to practice? Master Imo said I have no talent, Zhang Tianyan said with a bitter expression, let me learn elephant armor skill so that I can be invincible. Alas, I also practice very slowly. If it weren't for Master Mo's pill. Han Li's face was bitter. In no time, both of them fell asleep. After Han Li fell asleep, he dreamed of a young phoenix perching in the colorful glow, and a dragon flying out of the shallow beach. Huangfeng Valley. Spirit Beast Mountain. Moon Covering Sect. This is the 7 schools of you that appeared in the original work. In addition, there are also some cultivation families. For example, the Yen family who joined the demon realm. Mount Tainan, I remember. After solving the problem of Master Jin Guang in the original work, Han Li finally met the first good person in the cultivation world. Wan Shaoshan. Under the guidance of Wan Shaoshan, Han Li entered Tainanfang city. This place name should also be passed down in common customs. After much thought, Li Su decided to enter the cultivation world of you because other countries were too far away and lacked the blessing of the original plot, which was like throwing away the hidden golden finger. Li Su felt that he would first build a foundation in several major gates of you, and then run away to Chaoxing Sea or Dajin after the invasion of the Demon Road. After coming out of Sherman village, Li Su's wealth was not lacking. After changing into a fitted green robe, he put on a bamboo hat and went along the river to inquire. The surrounding area of the river has always been a livable place. Li Su's Hun passed through several large cities on Jianglu, but after making several inquiries, he found nothing. It can be seen from this that there is a separation between immortals and mortals. However, some immortals wield swords, and there is a lot of roaring news coming from the deep mountains. Reading Moon Tower. The Watching Tide Pavilion by the river. Li Su is enjoying ancient cuisine. But I heard a voice from the next door say rudely, Big brother, this amazing dragon will really bully people too much. Li Su lifted her ears. The sound next door is actually not high. Unfortunately, Li Su's ear strength exceeded normal and he easily heard such news. Jingjiao Hui, isn't it exactly Dr. Mo's lair? Li Su remembers that Han Li took the warm young treasure jade to detoxify and even had a scene with the 3 coquettes of the Mo family. This. Why don't you go to Mo mansion first if the 2 of them know about the Jingjiao meeting? Boom. Li Su casually threw a wine glass and smashed through the pine wall panel. 2 burly men's faces changed greatly, one drew out a golden ring sword to confront the enemy, and the other pushed the window with a water-splitting spear to escape. But across from the broken wooden wall, there was a young boy with red lips and white teeth, holding a white scorching shrimp. The 2 of them, who were originally panicked, looked at each other and a bearded man pretended to be fierce and asked, "Little doll, did you do it?" 2 idiots. Li Su rolled her eyes. Sometimes, he really doesn't quite understand the brain circuits of martial arts figures. Throwing a glass and easily smashing a hole the size of a basin on their own would not be a character that these 2 fools can handle, but they seem to be unaware of their situation. Pop. Ah ah. The big man holding the knife broke his hand and fell it. Fenshui pricked the big man's eyes and upon closer inspection, it turned out that it was a soft and crispy shrimp head that had just been peeled off that had pierced the big man's hand. Big. No, young hero, spare your life. We didn't do anything wrong. I asked you something. Yes, you ask. Tainan Mountain, Tainan Valley, have you ever heard of a place with a similar name? Fenshui pricks the man's face with bitterness. Hey, do you know? Li Su's heart quickened when he heard the bearded man with a broken hand. Yes, young hero. I haven't heard of Tainan Mountain or Tainan Valley, but I have heard of Tainan Temple. Oh, not bad. Li Su did not realize that she had no intention of planting willows and willows to create shade. Draw the road and how do I get there? Yes. The big man endured the pain and tore off half of his clothes, drawing a map on this piece of cloth. In no time, a rudimentary map was formed. Li Su waved his hand. The cloth flew over in the air. TSK, so it's not far either. Li Su closed his eyes and pondered for a while, but the map in his hand ignited without fire. The 2 wealthy Jianghu guests were as pale as earth. Only then did I realize that what I had encountered was actually the legendary, Immortal Master. Alright, red hemostasis, green intermittent. Li Su threw out 2 small porcelain bottles. 5 poison palm is a reward. When the 2 of them looked up again, Li Su had already disappeared. This. The 2 looked at each other. The bearded man picked up his severed palm on the ground and continued to use Li Su's method to stop bleeding. In no time, the blood stopped and the palm connected. But the wound should take a long time to heal. The bearded man's face showed ecstasy. Sure enough, I have met a fairy. The big man with a water thorn in his hand looked at the booklet. 5 poison palm. The bearded man immediately put away the booklet and hummed. I suffered the injury, I drew the map, and this skill is also mine. Yes. The water-splitting thorn nodded in response. But as the bearded man turned his head, he raised his weapon and thrust it towards his vest. If I had known you were ill-intentioned, I would have eaten Lao Tzu's board noodle knife. Ah! You despicably used lime powder. Puzzy. The 2 of them stabbed and fell. In no time, the room became a Shura field. Shuang splashed down the street. A clever-looking waiter tiptoed open the door and walked in, picking up the bloodstained secret recipe and picking up 2 bottles of elixir left behind. His eyes were filled with enthusiasm. On the river surface, Li Su crossed the river with a reed and a dragonfly jumped onto the bow of the boat. The screams of the 2 great men before their death fell into their ears, but Li Su sat down as if unaware. The 2 big men claimed to be innocent. The stench of water vapor and the faint smell of blood all over their bodies indicate that the two were a group of water bandits eating on the river. No mistake in killing. Sir, sit still and set sail. The boatman looked at this magnificent and charming young man and habitually reminded him. Okay. Li Su's gaze turned to the river. In the distance, there are already vast blue waves, and the infinite immortal fate is in the distance. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Tainanfang City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Tainanfang City. Chapter 5 Tainanfang City. Tainan Temple. How to find Tainanfang City. Li Su didn't understand the magic of looking for aura, so he decided to take a stroll around the nearby city. Midnight, Li Su is practicing. A bloody flame rose from the soles of the feet. Li Su opened her eyes. The blood gas lingering all over turned into a fiery dragon. Golden silkworms with 5 stripes also began to stir up a riot. Burning blood calamity. Burning Blood Tianyang Gong is a magical technique that naturally inherits the advantages of rapid completion of the magic, but it also has various hidden dangers and disasters. Burning blood calamity is a hidden danger in this martial art. If the cultivation progress is too slow, there will be blood burning and body burning, and if there are too many martial arts struggles, there will also be blood burning and body burning. The person who created this skill is simply a lunatic. Will slow cultivation actually lead to deeper calamity? Using too much will also deepen the calamity. Who? Li Su gritted her teeth hard. This martial art has many hidden dangers, but it also has many benefits. After each blood-burning disaster, although there is a significant loss of blood, it can purify spiritual power. Li Su realized the process of purifying the blood flame burning body magic. The impurities in spiritual power were burned away by the blood flame, but the blood in the blood vessels was also decreasing, almost fainting due to ischemia. If it's a magical technique, it's too cult. Li Su pondered over the key to crossing the tribulation, and the best solution should be as recorded in the book, killing demons and burning blood to cross the tribulation. A martial art that forces people to kill indiscriminately. But compared to some unstable magic techniques, this technique also has many wonderful aspects. After enduring a hard night, Li Su's face turned pale. Li Su, who was almost paralyzed in bed, said in agony, "The sequelae are too great. Those who should prepare pills should join the cultivation world as soon as possible." Who created this martial arts technique? Is it the 6 demon schools of Tianluo Kingdom? Li Su gradually realized the cruelty and danger of the cultivation world. No martial art can be flawless. Waiting for the waiter at the inn to knock on the door, Li Su asked him to help with the medicine. The excuse is occasional exposure to wind and cold. Fortunately, the waiter didn't ask much. In the afternoon, some donkey glue and rhodiola made Li Su's cold hands and feet slightly warm up. If you continue to be so weak, even ordinary martial arts experts can take my head. Li Su doesn't want to be powerless anymore. After much thought, we can only take risks. Sigh, I didn't originally want to be like this. Li Su opened her eyes and looked up at the moonlight. A person walked towards the stable with a lamp in hand. The black dragon horse is a good horse, and Li Su naturally rode it out. This horse monopolized a large stable, and all the other horses in the stable were driven into the corner by it. A residual lamp flickered. Li Su's face turned pale and she struggled to move forward. The black dragon horse snorted. Along the way, Li Su spent time with him day and night. Originally afraid of Li Su's black dragon horse, they gradually let go of their guard against Li Su. But I never thought that this night, golden silkworm goo, kill. The 8 golden silkworm goo felt the owner's intentions and fiercely and cruelly pounced on them. Bite the flesh and blood of the half-demon beast black dragon horse. A mournful cry from the horse did not stir up any waves. Burn blood and refine chi. A bloody flame sways in the night. Only a ground of bones and a bloody horse skin remain. Good morning, young master. The waiter greeted me with some surprise. Yesterday, this young master had a severe cold and looked like he was about to die of illness, now surprisingly, sitting in the hall with a rosy complexion. Is that medicine so good? The waiter muttered to himself. Morning. Li Su greeted warmly. Oh, by the way, there's no need to feed the horses. I sold the horses yesterday. That's really a pity, a divine horse and a good horse. The waiter murmured, but dared not say anything else. You look good today, young master. Would you like to add some more rice and vegetables? No, no need. Li Su wiped her mouth and said. I had enough to eat last night. Feeling the pure spiritual power inside his body in taking his cultivation one step closer, Li Su muttered to himself. No wonder the demon path is not alone. Which cultivator can resist the temptation of this accelerated cultivation? Get out of the inn. Li Su decided not to wait and went straight to Tainan Temple to explore. This ancient temple has been very low-key for some years. There are not many pilgrims coming and going. Li Su climbed up the stairs. This mountain is not high, but it is very clean. Guest stop. A knowledgeable monk stopped Li Su. Li Su raised his hand and saluted, saying, Master, I'm here to find someone. Who is the guest looking for? Li Su didn't waste any time either, he raised his hand and struck a flame. Unlike Han Li's Changchun Gong, Li Su's blood-burning Tianyang Gong also comes with its own flame, making special effects. The knowledgeable monk was stunned and immediately bowed, Please follow me. He walked ahead, followed by Li Su. Abbot, this. The knowledgeable monk whispered a few words. The abbot immediately turned serious and saluted, saying, Benefactor, are you looking for Master Huiming? Li Su also does not deny it. The abbot recited a few Buddhist chants, leading Li Su to a meditation room behind the temple. Amitabha Buddha, Taoist friends are visiting. I don't know what's going on. When I first arrived at Baodi, I heard about the reputation of Tainanfang city, but I didn't know how to enter the city. There was a long silence inside the meditation room before an old monk opened the door and emerged. Please come in, benefactor. Li Su dared not relax and stood guard in the outer room. Just a few words from the Zen master, Qin Yiling and Qin Shihuang are extremely grateful. The Zen master saw Li Su's wary appearance and the mention of the Qin family in his mouth. Heart said, Is this Qin Shihuang the experienced son of the Shuxian family? Qin Yiling has heard of it, but he has only seen the Yi family. Recalling the Yi family, the dark thoughts in my heart quickly dissipated. This is nature. Master Huiming echoed back. This Tainanfang city is not far away, in a valley 30 miles away. 30 miles, not far either. Sure enough, is the time and space cognition of cultivators disconnected from that of ordinary people? Li Su asked again, what are the taboos? Huiming said without hesitation, no flying objects are allowed in the airspace over the neighborhood, and no fighting or martial arts are allowed in the neighborhood. There will be dedicated personnel in the neighborhood to enforce the law. Before entering the neighborhood, you need to activate the transmission note or cast a spell. Someone will open the door to welcome guests in the neighborhood. Li Su remembers each one clearly. There are many descriptions of the local market in the original work, but where did Li Su know the specific details? With the guidance of the old man Huiming, Li Su naturally saved a lot of trouble. Thank you very much, master. Li Su looked at the sky and said, I still need to go to the local market, so I won't stay here too long. Li Su left the temple slowly. The paper crane in Huiming's sleeve was touched and hesitated for a while but still couldn't be stimulated. Sigh. He let out a deep sigh. Having such cultivation at such a young age is undoubtedly a member of the family, but I don't know if there are any guardians of the Tao. I'm half buried now, and if I provoke a strong enemy, I'm afraid I'll die a violent death. This kid doesn't have any foundation pills on him. Li Su was speeding along the mountain path, with a corner of his eye shining behind him. After waiting for a while, the old monk didn't play tricks. Sure enough, this kind of immortal cultivator who is dying at the end of his life is either a ruthless person after more than 100 battles, or an indecisive coward. This monk should be the latter. Let's go to the local market first. Arriving at the valley, Li Su ignited the spiritual fire. Sure enough, a ripple stirred and Li Su and his companions leaped into the neighborhood market. A fresh face. A white-bearded old man is playing chess and thinking, while another black-bearded old man is wearing an octagonal scarf on his head. Yes. Where did it come from? Jingzhou. Well, after seeing the rules clearly, don't break them, otherwise I won't spare you. A stone tablet bears the rules of the neighborhood. Li Su looked at it once. Same as what the monk said. Thank you very much, senior. Li Su saluted and advanced. Just entered the local market. A crowded street came into view. Take a look, century-old red fruits are rare. Resurrection grass, 10 spiritual stones. Don't sell if you have more, don't come if you have less. Qihua honey-dew pill, a regular medicine for home and road travel. Unknown ore. Ancient wonder. The Peerless Treasure map is limited to 1 per person. Li Su looked at the bustling street and couldn't help but give a thumbs up to the cultivation world. As a novice, Li Su is very eager for knowledge, so naturally she is overwhelmed all the way. Many vendors pulled him to promote, but Li Su said he didn't have a spiritual stone. No one will pay attention to him immediately. Sure enough, poverty saved me from being deceived. Along the way, 70% of the vendors are scammers. There are also shops on the street. Ju Bao Gu, Xing Yao Zhai, Jian Bao Lu, Ting Feng Yuan. Li Su used the layout of these stores and the vague names to determine their effectiveness. Turning around, Li Su sighed. Apart from a piece of horse skin and a few horse bones, there is no other useful treasure on my body. Immortal beings face difficulties, poor gods retreat and scatter. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Mastering Heaven and Refining Demons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Mastering Heaven and Refining Demons. Chapter 6. Mastering Heaven and Refining Demons. 7 Xianmen, Shenshou Valley. Han Li looked at the small green bottle with a narrow neck and round bottom in front of him, which was the culprit of his big toe injury. I originally wanted to throw away this bottle, but I thought it looked pretty and looked very valuable. At this moment, Han Li, who was still a bit greedy, looked around and stuffed the bottle into his arms. Tainanfang City. Li Su is lamenting her poverty. As a new cultivator who has been practicing for 2.5 years, Li Su doesn't even have a spiritual stone in his pocket. There is no spiritual stone as the starting capital, let alone the cultivation of various skills. Do you want to go to the wild to experience good luck and find medicinal herbs? Or fight to kill monsters? Wealth, law, and land. Li Su sighed with some emotion. Wealth, but it ranks first. In the original work, after obtaining the Palm Heavenly Bottle, the old demon seemed to never worry about the spiritual stone and elixir again, which made Li Su almost forget that cultivators also need spiritual stones. Make money. Li Su is strolling on the street. Walking up to a stall, he asked curiously, "Boss, do you charge for setting up a stall here?" The owner of the stall is a strong man, muscular and bare with 2 arms, seemingly fierce but somewhat honest. The stall is adorned with talisman seals and paper. No charge. Do you want to buy something? I want to ask, do you accept this monster skin? Li Su took out several pieces of black dragon horse skins that were bloody but well cut from the package. Ma Pai. The strong man frowned and flipped over. The quality is a bit poor, isn't it even considered a monster? Ah, you're really accurate. Li Su admitted somewhat awkwardly. This black dragon foal should be a descendant of the bloodline of a demon beast born after crossbreeding with a good horse. Jia Tianlong was also unable to cultivate this horse, so the black dragon horse was only a mortal beast. A hybrid between a black-scaled horse and a common beast. The strong man judged the history based on the quality of his fur. This kind of thing doesn't sell at a high price. Li Su's eyes lit up upon hearing this, and he took out a whole horse skin and handed it over. Just give me a price as you see, he said this. The strong man is in some difficulty. Li Su was secretly pleased in her heart that she was right in what she saw. Along the way, I passed by stalls, but this strong man was more kind. You really can't sell this thing for a good price. Making it into rune paper reduces the power of drawing runes by half. However, I have a sister who wants to practice drawing runes, and these average quality rune papers can also be used. The big man extended 3 fingers. 3 spirit stones. Line. Li Su took out all the horse skins. Thank you very much, boss. Sigh. The other party took out 3 variegated spirit stones and waved his hand, saying to Li Su. We each take what we need. I don't know how to address the boss. Li Su squatted down and watched the boss tidy up the animal skins. Free of charge, surname Han. Han. Li Su frowned. Han. The big man wrote a word and then patted his horse's skin and said. Your technique is too bad. If you kill the monster in the future, you need to learn professional handling techniques. Li Su couldn't help but blush and said, I have just entered the cultivation world. I would appreciate your guidance, brother Han. Li Su was pondering in her heart. Han, this word is too rare, and the one that has a strong presence in the original work is Han Yunji. Is this strong man not Han Yunji's brother? Oh, no wonder. The big man doesn't care either. He comes from the cultivation family, but what can he do? Isn't the cultivation resources earned by oneself? There are very few members of the Shuxian family who unite as one, and it has been passed down for about 3 or 4 generations, and the hearts of the family have dispersed. The Han family, which is in a declining stage of cultivation, is a family that people all want to extract benefits from. Alas, my little sister has such great talent, I need to lay a solid foundation for her. Can you ask Han Daoyu to introduce me to 1 or 2? Li Su was originally planning to leave after completing the transaction, but when she met Han Yunji's brother, she decided to find this person as her guide. The big man watched in surprise as Li Su pulled out a few horse bones. Your horse bones are not very useful, but they can also be used as low-level training tools and materials for arranging formations. Alright, I won't go into the secrets of the cultivation world. I'll tell you some general knowledge. Next, the Han introduced Li Su in a simple and easy-to-understand manner. Finally, he threw a book to Li Su, with Changyang Immortal Travels written on the cover. Thank you very much, brother Han. Li Su turned around and left. Looking for an inn in the neighborhood, Li Su asked for a guest room. This guest room has a soundproof array as well as a low-level defense array. But don't think about high-end spirit gathering formations. 1 penny worth of goods. I heard that Fengshe also rents out the cave on the spiritual energy node, where the spiritual energy concentration is more than 10 times higher than outside. Li Su immediately closed the door and checked the room. After confirming that there were no strange decorations in the inn, Li Su immediately read the book, Changyang Immortal Travels. This author, Changyang Zhenren, was a Jindan cultivator who was ordained hundreds of years ago in Tiannan. This is a travelogue written casually by the other party during their travels to Yu. The 7 schools of Yu State, Yuan Wu State, Yu Emperor's family, Yen family. This real person does not record any secrets in the book, but what is recorded above is some common knowledge in the cultivation world. Li Su carefully watched it all afternoon. After confirming that she had a clear understanding of this article, Li Su began to think about how to earn money and cultivate herself. I don't know when Han Laomo will be able to pick up the palm heavenly vase. Just as Li Su finished speaking, the invisible system came to prompt again. Ding, detected Han Li's harvest opportunity of palm heavenly bottle, you have obtained the reverse reward opportunity of refining demon pot. The demon refining pot. Li Su murmured. A quaint bronze pot fell into Li Su's palm. Is this a wine jug? How can he be on par with the palm heavenly vase? Li Su remembers that Han Li's palm heavenly vase should be the time and space Tao fruit of Han Li, the founder of the immortal world. The demon refining pot. Is it used for refining demons? Li Su frowned and pondered on the method of refining ordinary treasures. Han Li's palm heavenly vase is different from the magical tools and treasures in the mortal world. It can be directly used by absorbing the power of the sun, moon, and stars. Refining demons, refining demons. How do you use it again? Are you looking for a demon? I have a treasure in the air, but I don't know how to use it. Li Su remembers that Han Li only discovered the practical use of the palm heavenly vase 4 years after obtaining it. Forget it, go to the front hall first to hear some news. Li Su dug a small hole in the room, stuffed the alchemy pot into the hole and filled it, crossed the courtyard to reach the lobby of the inn. The people living here naturally do not have many immortal cultivation families, most of whom are single or group casual cultivators. After entering the lobby, Li Su heard a Taoist with a crane crown say, "Brother Jun, those beasts with me and Hu Sanyang, combined with the restraint of the 2 brothers of the Shi family, will definitely not let you harm the spirit beasts in vain." Brother Jun is dressed in the rich and noble attire of a mortal prince or noble son. With a hesitant expression, Taoist Higuan became anxious and advised, although the swamp environment is complex, we and a few others are not very afraid, let alone those who have such spirit beasts. It's not just Brother Jun. Don't worry, Master Hasong. The young man surnamed Jun spoke to ease the atmosphere. I promise, but at your price. The 2 of them were whispering in the same place. The young man surnamed Jun showed a satisfied expression, while the Taoist man showed a worried and sighing expression. However, Li Su felt that something was wrong with this Taoist man. But Li Su is not related to these people and does not want to cause more trouble and burn himself. After all, the immortal way is selfless, but people have their own selfish desires. The immortal path is rugged and difficult to smooth, I only wish to be carefree and free. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Finance, Law, and Land. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Finance, Law, and Land. Chapter 7 Finance, Law, and Land. Coming out of the inn, it was already night. There are still many practitioners setting up stalls in the local market, with bronze lamps about half a person tall. The ones that emit light inside are not oil lamps, but fist-sized stones. I don't know if there is radiation either. Li Su looked at these moonlight stones from a distance and murmured. I probably haven't encountered little Tainanfang, and there aren't many people in the neighborhood. There are very few people coming and going at the stalls. Li Su swaggered around. Some people sell talismans, some sell herbs, some buy minerals, and the most attractive place for Li Su is a book stall. There are also shops selling books in the neighborhood, but after scanning the prices of the shops, Li Su didn't even dare to step into the threshold. A complete set of the complete collection of 5 elements art practice dares to sell 90 low-level spiritual stones. Lingshur is the currency of the cultivation world. Low-level spirit stones, medium-level spirit stones, and high-level spirit stones are generally exchanged for 1 to 100. But with the scarcity of spiritual energy in heaven and earth, there are fewer high-quality spiritual stone veins, and exchanging low-level for high-level also requires a premium. A complete set of water attribute spells for a single book also requires 60. Li Su looked at the price tag on the booth, touched his pocket, and shook his head. After circling around, Li Su didn't find any opportunity to make a fortune, so she anxiously returned to the inn. There was nothing to say overnight. Pushing through the window, I saw the sunrise gently caressing the purple clouds and mist on the horizon. The lush ancient trees swayed in the courtyard, and Li Su's restless heart also calmed down. What should I do while calculating in the bedroom? At this time, Li Su had been practicing for 2.5 years and had already reached the 4th level of Qi cultivation. His biggest killer weapon was the golden silkworm swallowing and generating goo technique in the 7-colored poison classic. The general attack of his cultivation and fighting techniques relied entirely on the fire control technique attached to the blood-burning heavenly yang technique. But the hidden dangers of both are extremely deep. The former requires blood and gas support, and every evolution of the golden silkworm goo requires a lot of life energy. Daily support also consumes Li Su's physical heritage. That means Li Su started cultivating immortality, otherwise Li Su would have been sucked to death long ago. However, Li Su cannot abandon the technique of golden silkworm eating poisonous insects for the time being, as it is his most powerful means of dealing with enemies. In addition, burning Blood Tianyang Gong is also a big pitfall. Apart from occasional occurrences of blood-burning calamity, this cultivation system only provides the first 6 levels. Coincidentally corresponds to Han Li's acquisition of the first 6 levels of Changchun Gong. Furthermore, there is no cultivation technique in this martial art. This also forced Li Su to explore and create a fire control technique that matched his martial arts. I am currently at the 4th level of Qi cultivation, undoubtedly at the bottom of Fengshe. Li Su quickly clarified her position. The possible downside is that I will be bullied by high-level cultivators, but the advantage is that my strength is low and inconspicuous at this time. Now, the primary task is to find a way to make money, and it's best to find a safe way to make money. I won't be able to achieve my goals in a short period of time without financial and family support, as I have learned to cultivate various skills. I must showcase my strengths. The Demon Refining Pot. No, this is a treasure equivalent to the Palm Heavenly Vase, and must not be exposed to outsiders' eyes. So. Medical skills. Gu Shu. Li Su recalled studying the 7-colored poison classic. This poison classic covers everything, including not only golden silkworm eating and generating goo, but also 5 poison divine arts. Li Su's 5 poison divine palm is one of the supporting martial arts. This ordinary cultivation method was useless for Li Su at this time, but the 100 poison secret record in the 7-colored poison classic was not. The 100 poison secret record is divided into flower and grass chapter, poison and insect chapter, and 100 livestock chapter. Even cultivators need poison, right? Li Su touched her chin and reminisced about the street stall. It seems that there is no sale of cockroach poison and tetramine. Mouse medicine, cockroach medicine, all of them are medicines. Poisonous rat. Paraquat. Li Su found that the poison market has great potential. After practicing cross-legged for a while, Li Su got up and washed up, continued to explore the market, preparing to gather more information about the market and contribute to his plan. Sigh, I don't know a single spell right now, otherwise I just need to throw a cleansing spell. Before leaving, Li Su set a goal to learn his first spell within a month. I just walked to the lobby of the inn, and yesterday the hunting team returned. Taoist Hsong walked ahead with a happy expression on his face, while a few figures behind him looked a bit embarrassed, with some torn clothes and bloodstains on his body. However, looking excited, it indicated that he had achieved a good harvest. Only the cultivator named June had a pale face, and the prince's attire was already disheveled, with a faint black aura emanating from his originally fair features. Master Hesong, quickly sell the things you found. I need to buy healing pills as soon as possible. Listening to Junfeng Mountain's urging, Chief Hesong's face remained calm. However, he could still calm down and comfort him with a few words. We need to ask a few more stores to choose the highest one. Junfeng Mountain's face turned black and he said with some displeasure, all my spiritual worms have died, and I am still poisoned. If I delay any longer, my cultivation will regress. Yes, said Master Hesong calmly, Sanyang, why don't you give Brother Jun a spring talisman? Hu Sanyang was a middle-aged beautiful woman dressed in charming clothes, and sneered, 3 spirit stones and 1 piece. Junfeng Mountain felt a bit sore when he heard it, and finally understood the meaning of knives, plates, fish, and meat. His face slowly calmed down, and he stared at Taoist Hesong and said, Taoist, I want to share the portion of what I have gained first. I only need 50% of the original amount. How can this work? Chief Hesong immediately refused. How could you suffer such a big loss? Taoist, I'm persevering. Junfeng Mountain also understands. Before forming their own team, the lion made a big mouth and angered everyone. Now these scattered cultivators want to see his joke. Then we can only take a step back with tears in our eyes. This. The Shi brothers, who were originally silent, spoke up. Taoist, if you insist so much, let's do as he says. Okay, let's calculate. Taoist Hesong remained calm and lowered the price for him. Junfeng Mountain, who was heavily poisoned, could only recognize him by pinching his nose. A total of 30.7 spirit stones, let's settle for both the money and the goods. Okay, thank you very much, Taoist. There will definitely be thick rewards in the future. Junfeng Mountain swept away the spirit stones on the table, but in the end, he couldn't help but speak out in resentment. A few people didn't take it seriously. Watching Junfeng Mountain stumble away from his back. The little brother Shi, who had not spoken yet, asked, Taoist, will this kid consider retaliating against us? Hu Sanyang said indifferently, little brother of the Shi family, let's practice separately and gather freely, but this group is talking about sincerity. That guy was always pushing around and even the lion demanded a high price. He was not someone who could cooperate from the beginning. Brother Shi explained, this is the last time we have collaborated with this guy. His master has left him all the spiritual worms, and he himself is only a talent of the 4 spiritual roots. Are we still afraid of this guy's revenge? Shi Lei nodded in confusion. After watching his companion sit down, Shi Lei stood up to find the shopkeeper. He took out a few bloody things and shook them in front of the shopkeeper, saying, Shopkeeper, can this monster cook? The shopkeeper took a closer look. The bloody thing turned out to be a skin toad. The skin toads that were pulled out by Shi Lei were mostly the size of human heads. Shi shouted, this toad meat is poisonous. If there is a spiritual chef present, it may be possible to detoxify and cook spiritual food. Hu Sanyang drank tea and said, the most useful part of a stone skin frog is its stone skin and tongue. The shopkeeper also nodded and said, Sir, your toad meat is poisonous, and the shop cannot handle it. Moreover, as the guest said, a spiritual chef is not something that the shop can afford. Shi Xian couldn't help but scold his younger brother for being foolish, like the talisman maker and alchemist, we can't afford to hire the other party to deal with the monster meat. Moreover, if this monster is released for a long time, its spiritual energy will also dissipate. The money spent on detoxifying this toad meat cannot match the money spent on a plate of spiritual food. The conversation between several people caught Li Su's attention. Taking a glance at the stone skin frog pulled out by Shi Lei, he immediately recognized the bloody toad. Isn't it the heavenly stone poison toad recorded in the 7-colored poison classic? This is a highly poisonous holy artifact that can be used to assist in the cultivation of the 5 poison palm. Excuse me a few. Li Su hesitated for a moment and approached to say hello. May I transfer these stone frogs? Seeking votes, seeking updates. Starting from this Monday, it has stabilized for 2 shifts. Thank you all. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Stone Frog Spirit Earthworm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Stone Frog Spirit Earthworm. Chapter 8 Stone Frog Spirit Earthworm. Tainanfang City. The Hesong Taoist drank tea on his own. Shi Lei is feeling frustrated that the harvest he has picked up is worthless. The shopkeeper's 100 chats stood in the counter as a scoundrel. Do you want it? Shi Lei heard the sound and followed it. A young boy even younger than him was curiously staring at a few stone skin frogs. How many spirit stones do you produce? Upon hearing this, Li Su spread her hands and said, I feel shy in my lower bag. A few days ago, when selling horse skins to Hanyan Mountain, Li Su only received 3 spirit stones in total. A spirit stone rented an inn room for a month. The other spirit stone is the prepared entrepreneurial fund, and the last spirit stone is used by him to ensure the bottom line. Fortunately, if you don't eat spiritual food in the neighborhood, you can fill your stomach with only gold and silver. Then Shi Lei was about to refuse, but he felt helpless. This toad meat is poisonous, and its spiritual energy is dissipating. It has no other use besides throwing it away. Oh, by the way, what's the use of this kid asking for toad meat? I can give it to you for free, but you have to tell me, what are you doing with this toad meat? After hesitating for a while, Li Su met Shi Lei's gaze and said, before entering the cultivation world, I was lucky enough to obtain some poison techniques. I want to try extracting some toxins from the meat, maybe I can sell them for some price in the local market. Poison. Shi Lei blinked. The Hesong Taoist sitting beside him turned his head and carefully looked at Li Su before saying, Xiao Lei, give him the things. This. After pouting, Shi Lei gave the toad to Li Su. It seems that Hesong, as the leader of free practice, still has great prestige in free practice. Thank you very much, Taoist. Thank you very much, Taoist friend. Li Su put on deer skin gloves and took the toad meat. After watching Li Su's series of actions, Hesong nodded inexplicably and said, Little brother, in this Tainanfang city, it is difficult for us to survive in our scattered cultivation. If you extract this toad toxin, I hope you can sell us a batch at a low price. This is nature. Li Su immediately nodded and answered. Farewell, everyone. Looking at Li Su's impatient expression, the few people sitting down shook their heads. Only Hu Sanyang understood Hesong's intentions the most and asked in a low voice, is the boss looking for a new person? Hesong took a sip of tea and said, we're still under investigation. His strength is a bit weak, but he is very young. Shi Xian said thoughtfully, I don't know how many spiritual roots talent he has. Hu Sanyang frowned and said, at the beginning, practicing is the easiest, but later on, it becomes more difficult. When encountering bottlenecks, there is no pill to help. It's normal to stick for more than a decade. Yeah. Hesong nodded slightly and said, if he could extract toxins, it would be a good thing. Didn't you see that Junfeng Mountain was hit? Haha, that guy deserves it, but boss Hesong, the cold smoke grass in that swamp. Who? Li Su touched her pounding heart. Just now, he took the risk of talking to several casual cultivators who were far more powerful than him. Fortunately, the result was good. Li Su returned to the room and opened the guest room restriction. Take out a set of jade tool kits. Tisk. The jade knife cuts open the belly of the skinned toad. A colorful purple-black viscera with a foul-smelling mucus flowed on the jade plate. Li Su put on a pig mouth mask and lit sage to purify the gas. The toxins of stone skin frogs are mostly found in their skin and flesh, and there is not a large amount of toxic gas escaping from their internal organs. Ha! Seeing the intestines wriggling, Li Su used a knife to cut open the stomach sac and intestines. A strange mixture of logistics flowed out of my intestines. In this pile of mixtures, a noodle-like carnivorous mixture was wriggling wildly. However, carrying acidic toad stomach juice on their bodies seems to make these carnivorous insects very uncomfortable. What is this thing? After seeing this dense swarm of insects, Li Su put on her pig beak and closely observed. Is this a bunch of earthworms? Spirit earthworm. Li Su lost his voice. Immediately, a series of clues connected. Hesong and his team invited Junfeng Mountain to explore treasures because he raised a nest of spiritual earthworms. Ling earthworm has been recorded in Changyang Immortal Travels. This is a spirit beast that lives in the spiritual soil. I ate some scattered spiritual items. Rotten spirit leaves, fermented spirit grain shells, and some spiritual waste can be fed. After consuming these spiritual objects, the spiritual earthworms can produce a certain amount of earthworm manure. This kind of spiritual earthworm manure is the best spiritual soil substrate. After mixing some special substances, it can be formulated into medicinal soil in the medicinal garden. Ling earthworm feces can even be directly used as fertilizer for Ling rice. I didn't expect it to be such a good thing. Li Su was immediately pleasantly surprised and used a porcelain basin to wash away the dying spirit earthworm. I think the place where the Hesong Taoist explored should be the habitat of these stone-skin frogs. The Hesong group can only use the spirit earthworms from Junfeng Mountain as bait to catch these stone-skin frogs. Li Su couldn't help but be overjoyed. I didn't expect this group of people to be busy all day, and the last bargain was picked up by me. Li Su looked at the lifeless spirit earthworms in the water and felt a little anxious. These spirit earthworms have been swallowed and injured so badly in their stomachs, I wonder if I can save them. The immortal Changyang mentioned in his notes that the spirit earthworm has the name of an earth dragon, and its vitality is extremely strong. Even beheading or waist cutting will not kill it. According to unreliable sources, it has the bloodline of a true dragon. You can't lose face with the true dragon bloodline. Li Su looked at the powerless earthworm and said. Oh, by the way, there are also some undigested earthworms in the stomachs of the other toads. Li Su immediately cut open several other toads, and in no time, the jade plate was filled with toad organs. The number of spiritual earthworms pulled out is increasing, but unfortunately, there are very few energetic spiritual earthworms. Ah, what should I do? Li Su's cultivation knowledge is completely blank. Except for some of the knowledge mentioned in the original work, all of his information comes from the Changyang Travels. I don't know if the demon refining pot is useful either. Li Su took out a bronze teapot held in her arms. Collect. Li Su aimed the bottle mouth at the earthworm. But after a while, the spirit earthworm remained motionless. Li Su bit her lip, lost in thought for a moment, and watched as the spirit earthworm died more and more. How should I use the refining demon pot? Li Su's gaze shifted to a puddle of toad meat, and she couldn't help but start thinking irritably in her heart. Why not start practicing the burning Blood Tianyang technique while these toads' flesh and blood are still fresh? Li Su knew that burning Blood Tianyang Gong has the effect of igniting spiritual objects, blood and flesh, and promoting cultivation. Why don't you let the demon refining pot give it a try? Li Suling suddenly aimed the spout of the pot at the flesh and blood. Collect. A plate of flesh and blood disappeared in an instant. On this jade plate filled with flesh, blood, and internal organs, there is no drop of blood left. It's really feasible. Li Su immediately looked nervously at the mouth of the pot. Is this demon refining pot meant to eat spiritual energy, blood, and flesh? Just as Li Su was in shock, he realized something was wrong and shook the pot, sensing that there seemed to be liquid inside. Liquid. Li Su shook the pot body. Sure enough, the sound of liquid splashing echoed into Li Su's ear, which was close to the mouth of the pot. Is it something like a small green bottle? Li Su immediately thought of the efficacy of Han Li's Zhang Tian bottle. Dida. A drop of blood-colored liquid. Drops fell from the mouth of the bronze pot. Looking at the blood droplets condensed on the jade plate, Li Su poured a cup of water and mixed it, then scooped a teaspoon with a jade spoon to water the flowers. The potted magnolia in the inn quickly absorbed blood and water. Why hasn't there been much movement? Li Su waited for a while, but unfortunately the potted plant didn't move. Isn't it for plants? Li Su turned his gaze to the half-dead spirit earthworm. Dida. Pour a few spoonfuls of blood and water down. Purple spirit earthworms began to cluster into earthworm balls with blood and water as the center. Is it really effective for animals? End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Leisure Life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Leisure Life. Chapter 9. Leisure Life. Bold assumptions, calm analysis, and meticulous experimentation. Li Su never expected that when he came to the world of cultivation, he could still use modern experimental analysis methods. Sample number 1. Head popping. Sample number 2. Manic symptoms. Sample number 3. Adaptive evolution. Sample number 4. Visible optimization improvements. In the next 3 days, Li Su stayed at home and used the excuse of testing drugs to make the waiter purchase live animals. Gray rabbit, field mouse, goat. After sacrificing batches of experimental achievements, Li Su also summarized several rules of refining demon pots. The demon refining pot only absorbs flesh and blood with spiritual energy. After absorbing spiritual flesh, the demon refining pot will transform into a bright red liquid like blood. Red liquid is similar to the legendary Emperor's fluid and has the effect of promoting the evolution and growth of monsters. Excessive use of red liquid in some mortal beasts can cause explosions, while moderate use of red liquid in some mortal beasts can lead to evolution. Preliminary speculation is that the latter has a very small amount of demon beast blood in its body. Question to be verified. Can the human body absorb red fluid and evolve? Li Su yawned under the panda's eyes. Destroying all the monsters expressionlessly without any heartache. Because Li Su knew that demon beasts would gradually give birth to spiritual intelligence, some great demons would transform into demon cultivators during the primordial stage. Although Li Su is poor with urine and blood, he still has no intention of selling monsters. Who knows if these sold monsters will expose their secrets in the future? The rule I have set in the future is: no monster that has seen a demon refining pot can walk out of my hands alive. However, I cannot sell this monster, but I can sell spiritual materials. Li Su fished out a purple thunderbolt striped field mouse from the water that had suffered from heatstroke. The typical size of a field mouse is patterned on its back, with a prominent purple fur and silver mysterious patterns. At first glance, it is not a simple monster. This experimental subject performs the most extraordinary, as it can discharge electricity as soon as it evolves into a monster. Peeling off the fur to make lightning talisman seal script should sell well, right? This goat's skull is like gold, not gold, and its hardness is comparable to ordinary alloys. Perhaps it can be sold to alchemists to refine tools. Shinshou Valley. Han Li handed the porcelain vase to Li Feiyun, warned, if you eat the marrow extracting pill again, you will die. Li Feiyu smiled nonchalantly and said, you don't understand. Han Li frowned without further persuasion, but instead talked about the matter inside the door. Upon hearing Han Li inquire about his martial arts skills, Li Feiyu shook his head and said, you cannot practice martial arts without internal power. Isn't there any martial arts that don't require internal power? Han Li asked, somewhat puzzled, there must be some in the Sutra Pavilion of the 7 Xianmen sect, right? This. Li Feiyu hesitated for a moment and said. It is possible to have such martial arts skills, but one must perform meritorious deeds in order to enter. Is that so? Han Li felt a bit disappointed. Li Feiyu comforted and said, the next time I go in, I will definitely help you find. Han Li felt quite pleased upon hearing these words. Success. In Tainanfang city. Li Su watched a purple spirit earthworm sink into the black soil. This black soil is the black spiritual soil he transformed. Although the spirit earthworm can grow quickly by eating red liquid, it is still necessary to buy some spirit rice husks to cover it up. Li Su clumsily disposed of the rice husk and threw it onto the black soil. Chopstick-sized spiritual earthworms emerged from the soil, opening their mouths to swallow the fermented humus, with circular patterns wriggling around their purple bodies. This kind of creature with low intelligence makes Li Su more at ease. After these spiritual earthworms produce some feces, I can quickly form a positive cycle. After speaking, Li Su took out the demon refining pot. Gently shaking, there was very little spiritual liquid in the pot. Blood and flesh with spiritual energy are not so easy to deal with. Li Su was lucky enough to obtain the flesh and blood of several poisonous toads. Now, if you want fresh monster flesh and blood, you probably have to spend a spirit stone to buy it. Tiannan is a remote and impoverished area, where not only are spiritual medicines and minerals rare, but even high-level monsters are rare. Li Su immediately remembered the chaotic starry sea in the original work. In the boundless sea, various levels of monsters are relentlessly attacking the islands inhabited by cultivators. That's my treasure trove. Li Su touched the alchemy pot and took it back into her arms. I always feel that the demon refining pot is not that simple, otherwise how can I compete with the Palm Heavenly bottle? Perhaps red liquid is only a small part of the function of the demon refining pot. Sigh, it's time to go out for a walk. Get out of the inn. Li Su greeted the shopkeeper. These days, he has been staying at the inn, thanks to their protection however, with people coming and going in the inn, Li Su still decided to rent a single-family apartment in the neighborhood after getting rich. Safety is the most important. Li Su made up her mind and went out. Fengshe still looks as cold and desolate as when Li Su came. At this time, Li Su no longer had the enthusiasm to enter the cultivation world for the first time. Pinching the last spiritual stone and a large bag of monster materials in her arms, Li Su muttered to herself, when I have the spiritual stone, I will buy 2 storage bags, one for the spiritual stone and the other for the materials. After wandering around the neighborhood, Li Su discovered an acquaintance. The surname Jun Sanxiu, who was tricked by the Hsong Taoist. Set up a stall in a down-to-earth manner. Li Su walked over curiously. A few herbs that Li Su doesn't know, a common iron ore, and a low-level leaf-shaped magic tool. If you can't afford the price, get lost. Jun Fengshan, who looked down and out, still spoke hard, driving away a poor and destitute individual who was trying to bargain. Li Su glanced at the stall and his gaze fell on several books. How many spells does this basic spell encyclopedia include? There are a total of 7 spells in the early stage of Qi cultivation. How much do you plan to sell a book for? A portion of 5 spirit stones. After seeing Li Su, Jun Feng Mountain said. It's too expensive, it's the same as the price in the store. Why don't I go to the store? Li Su immediately discounted, did you copy these spells? A copy of a spell can sell for 5 yuan. Li Su remembers that Han Li only spent 2 spirit stones on the entire book of Changchun Gong, but it belonged to the bundled sale of Han Yunji's talisman pens and books. But there is my master's experience here. My master can practice 11 levels of Qi. This. But it's also too expensive. Li Su knew that this kind of book with its own lecture notes was different from the original martial arts, just like a textbook and a tutorial book, but still pretended to look disdainful and said, "How many spells are there?" Tianyan art, Yufeng art, hypnosis art, flowing sand art, fire bullet art, Yuwu art, illusionary body art. They are all ordinary spells. Li Su retorted, "I have learned all kinds of magic except for illusion and hypnosis. Can you sell them separately here?" Retail sales. Junfeng Mountain widened its eyes. How can a book be sold separately? Sigh, then I won't do it. Buying like this is too bad for me. Li Su spread out her hands with a look of having suffered a big loss, and pointed to several other books. Jun Fengshan suggested, "Why don't you supply me with a few other books and I'll pay for a spirit stone and some refining materials?" Junfeng Mountain looked at the other books on the stall. 13 Common Monsters in Junshan, 7 Ways to Cope with Dangerous Places, 108 Characteristics of Spiritual Grass, Common Spiritual Mineral Characteristics in Tiannan, The Day I Watched the Gate of the Moon Covering Sect. No, a spirit stone is too few. Jun Fengshan shook his head and said firmly. But all of your books can be copied in bulk. You can easily find a fallen scholar in the mortal world and copy them once before selling them for money. Listening to Li Su's words, Junfeng Mountain blushed with embarrassment. Because that's how he planned. As for me, I only have a spirit stone on my body, plus a monster bone as a training material. Li Su's appearance of leaving without success immediately made Junfeng Mountain hesitate. Can you show me the materials for the alchemist? Okay. Li Su pulled out a big sheep's head. Jun Fengshan reached out and tapped the sheep's head, then touched the sharp horns of the sheep, saying, "This is a bit strange. We can only craft extraordinary weapons. Hi, it would be great if we could gather materials for our casual training. In the store, I might be able to sell 5 spirit stones with these materials. If you exchange them for these books, it would be more than enough." Jun Fengshan hesitated for a moment and nodded. Line. Li Su took out a spirit stone and threw it over, and big sheep head Li Su also directly let go. I took away all the paper books from the Junfeng Mountain stall. Junfeng Mountain took a glance but did not stop. Because these are all paper books, he can find someone to copy them 100 times and sell them all for profit. The money and goods are both settled. Li Su wrapped the book in sheepskin and turned around to leave. Thank you to the readers who voted and followed up. This book has passed internal investment, but the editor is on vacation and will have to wait for a few more days to sign. You can rest assured to invest, and signed investments can be obtained. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. First Barrel of Gold. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. First Barrel of Gold. Chapter 10. The first barrel of gold, found it. Li Su was a bit excited. The emperor does not disappoint those who work hard. The pile of broken books obtained from Junfeng Mountain indeed recorded the method of raising spirit earthworms. Notes on Junxiong elderly planting Spirit Valley. This Junxiong should be the master of Junfeng Mountain and also an 11-story, casual cultivator. It records the diary of this elderly man Junxiong planting Linggu. 3 of them mentioned the effect of using earthworms to fertilize the fields. One is specifically about the spirit earthworm. Temperature, water temperature, warmth and humidity. Li Su also learned for the first time that there are so many ways to raise earthworms. So my nest of earthworms is called Purple Spirit Earth Dragon, which is the most suitable spiritual earthworm to pair with Purple Jade Spirit Rice. The favorite food of the Purple Spirit Earth Dragon is the rotten rice stalks and husks of purple corn, and the feces pulled out are also known as Purple Spirit Fertilizer. 10 pounds of top-grade Purple Spirit Fertilizer requires 5 spirit stones. The more Li Su looks, the hotter her heart becomes. Ha! However, the illustrations in the book immediately stunned Li Su. She frowned and looked at them for a long time, gesturing with her hands and slapping her head, exclaiming, "Why is mine so thick and big? The common purple spirit earthworms in Lingtian are only the size of bean sprouts, while the one in Junfeng Mountain's hands with better quality is 30% larger. But Li Su found out that his nest of purple spirit earthworms had chopsticks of varying thickness and length. Did you take hormones? Li Su shook her head with some emotion. Fortunately, according to Juanxiong's book, the larger the size of the purple spirit earthworm, the better the corresponding purple spirit fertilizer, and the production speed is also relatively fast. In the book, there is also the method of remembering the age of the earthworm ring. Every purple spirit earthworm grows a white segment every 10 years. The purple spirit earthworm in Juanxiong's hand has been raised for 30 years and has grown 3 white knots in total. And mine. 1, 2, 3, 4. Li Su dug out an earthworm and counted it. 11 knots. Has this evolved into a century-old purple spirit earthworm? Li Su was so excited that he almost didn't strangle this earthworm, and only then did he finally determine after uncovering a few purple spirit earthworms. Hey, have these little white spots been laid by earthworms? Li Su never expected that these purple spirit earthworms had just recovered from their injuries and had already started laying eggs. Wait patiently. Li Su pressed down the excitement in her heart and silently recited. Practice your spells first. Li Su took out another beginner's spell encyclopedia and seriously began learning spiritual eye magic. Since practicing the blood-burning heavenly yang technique, Li Su has easily mastered the general martial arts techniques. But when learning the first spell, Li Su felt a bit overwhelmed. In fact, Li Su's feeling is right. It took Li Su 7 days to reluctantly use a spiritual eye technique. Is my spell talent so poor? Li Su was also a bit unbelievable, he was inferior to magic. Lingyan art. The airflow from Li Su Dantian slowly flows into his eye hole. A different scene appeared in Li Su's eyes, and a faint spiritual energy permeated around him like mist. The demon refining pot. Li Su stared at the demon refining pot. Fortunately, it may be that the treasure is self-hidden, and there is not that strong spiritual energy on the demon refining pot. Li Su was somewhat surprised to find that the most energetic thing in the whole room was actually his bowl for raising earthworms. No, it's not a basin, but those eggs. Li Su walked up to the porcelain bowl and stared intently for a long time. He finally confirmed that those few worm eggs were the most spiritual places in the room. Has it evolved? Although the evolution of bloodline mutations is rare, there are also many. I don't know what will hatch. Li Su stared at several eggs for a long time and took out the demon refining pot from her arms. After diluting with water, it dripped onto the insect eggs. Hiss. A sour sensation came from the eyes. Li Su understood that this was a manifestation of mana depletion. After a moment of delay, Li Su regained her mana and thought to herself, my mana recovery speed is not slow. Besides practicing magic skills, my spiritual root talent should be pretty good. When the mana is fully restored, Li Su takes all the spiritual fat. Fengshe. Li Su found a stall. Unwrapping several bags revealed the purple-black soil particles. For a long time, no one cared. Is this Ling Rang? No, this is Ling Fei. Purple spirit fertilizer is the best fertilizer for cultivating purple jade spirit rice. Several discerning cultivators whispered around the stall, and finally an elderly man with gray temples spoke up. Taoist friend, your spiritual fertilizer has good quality. What's the price? Taoist friends are discerning. This purple spirit fertilizer has excellent quality and can sell 6 spirit stones for 10 pounds. The old man pinched his chin beard and pondered for a long time, saying, friend, the market price of purple spirit fertilizer on the market is 5 yuan and 10 jin. Are you too greedy to buy 6 spirit stones? Li Su shook his head and said, you know what you're asking, why bother with 1 or 2 spirit stones for this quality of spiritual fertilizer? The old man's gaze froze as he wiped the storage bag with one hand and said, "I've packed it all." "Ah!" The onlookers exclaimed in surprise. "Sangshan Taoist friend, are you this?" The old man's friend asked, somewhat puzzled. "It's too expensive to buy." The old man from Sangshan quickly paid off the spiritual stone and put a few bags of spiritual soil into the storage bag. At this point, he began to explain, "The quality of this spiritual fertilizer is not simple. Mixing some ingredients can be used to prepare medicinal soil. You all know that I have no hope of building a foundation, so I have started to spread my bloodline and leave the family behind. This medicinal field is planned for the descendants of the family." "Ah, brother Tsangshan, this is a bargain." After Li Suqing finished ordering the spirit stone, he didn't leave for a second and headed straight to the store. "How much does the storage bag cost?" 10 spiritual stones. "A storage bag, please." Li Su took the storage bag and after refining the imprint, he found that the bag was only 1 cubic meter large. Then he quickly put the spirit stone into the storage bag. 60 spirit stones, even for casual cultivation, you have money. I didn't expect that Li Su came to this world and made his first fortune by selling feces. Li Su calmed down for a moment before looking at the store. On the shelf are finished magical tools and seal scripts, as well as a few rare array plates. "Do you have jade slips?" "Here." Li Su took the jade slip and placed it in the center of her eyebrows to sense. Cultivation techniques, magical tools, talismans and seals, medicinal herbs, minerals, cinnabar, talismans and brushes. The things in this store are quite comprehensive. Li Su quickly sensed the list of martial arts jade slips, and some brief introductions of the techniques flowed through his eyes. After searching for a long time, Li Su asked, "Do you have any better techniques?" "My guest, all the techniques sold in our shop are on the jade slips." The shopkeeper said less enthusiastically. "Has the shopkeeper ever heard of techniques like Tianyang Gong? Tianyang Gong?" The shopkeeper shook his head. "Sorry, my guest. I have never heard of Tianyang Gong, but there is a record in 6 Yang Gong. 6 Yang Gong." Li Su quickly searched for it. Originally, this is a fire attribute cultivation method. The introduction records that this cultivation method has great power and uses fire-based spells for bonuses, with a very moving price tag of 70 yuan for spirit. Li Su remembers that Han Li's Changchun achievement was obtained from Han Yunji and only spent 3 spirit stones. Can it be sold separately? Li Su's old skills are repeated. "I want to take a look at the beginning." The shopkeeper scrutinized Li Su and thought that she had obtained some incomplete copy. "The small shop does not engage in retail sales. Let me take a look at the beginning. How about a spirit stone?" The shopkeeper hesitated for a moment, quietly turned on the mute, and handed a jade slip to Li Su. "Indeed not." Li Su shook her head in disappointment. The shopkeeper comforted Li Su and said, "My guest, if the cultivation method is broken, you can choose other methods to practice again." Li Su nodded. "My burning Blood Tianyang Gong only has 6 levels. Only when Han Li obtains the complete Changchun Gong system will it help him complete it." Li Su went to another store. "I want to test my spiritual roots separately." End of this chapter.